All right. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to bring before you today Sue Sykes, who we know is a part of the wellness community in our area. And we're excited that she has agreed to do an interview with us to bring some information to you to make it easier for you to understand what the opportunities are that you have when it comes to dealing with your wellness. A lot of times we think, oh, there's a chiropractor and there's an acupuncturist, and we maybe don't understand the fullness of what each of these individuals brings to the table and has to offer. And Sue is a great example of that because not only is she a chiropractor, but she's also a wellness advisor, and she has sort of a specific niche and tools to help you deal with very specific things. And we're gonna discuss those things today. But first, I would like for Sue to tell us a little bit about how she got started on this path.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Susan Sykes, and I got started on this path as a chiropractic patient. I was fed up, sick and tired of being sick and tired, and fed up with the medical approach of just throwing drugs at everything. I knew absolutely nothing about chiropractic care. A girlfriend of mine had been going, but never took me to see her chiropractor, and I just had no idea that it could help so much. So I found a chiropractor where I was living, and I was getting adjusted, and a lot of my health problems started resolving on their own, such as chronic headaches, sinus problems, and some digestive problems. At the same time, I was doing a lot of swimming, and I noticed that when I was in what you call in adjustment, I was I felt lighter in the water. And I was looking at a career change, and my girlfriend was going to chiropractic college. I was going to go to medical school, but I was interested in wellness, and they were interested in me becoming a medical doctor. So I went to chiropractic college instead.
Oh, how neat. Can I ask what you did before you made that switch?
Before I made that switch, I had my two things that I did. One thing that I did was my career. My first career was in biomedical research.
Interesting.
Meant, yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's interesting because one of the studies that I helped to work on, was how diet affects the fatty acids in the gut, which was the really early precursor work on the omega fatty acid information that we have now. So it's kind of cool.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
That research has come around and benefited people. Then after I left research for a while, I was working in clinical labs, and I worked in a health department, and I worked in a hospital. And then went back into research for a little bit, but basically knew that neither of those reasons that I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Well, what I love about that story is that you've moved. I mean, I think a lot of times people isolate out the science side of things from this like more holistic kind of side of things. And you really are kind of bridging that gap completely. And the one thing really led to the other thing. I just love that. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and move into what you do in your practice right now. And would you tell me a little bit about what your services look like and how you really help people?
Well, the thing is that as a doctor of chiropractic, many people come to me, their first experience with me is due to some kind of pain condition. Okay. Some people do come to me for other health conditions because I work with the overall health as well. So what I do when somebody comes in is I do a complete evaluation of them, and in order to determine what their problem is and how I can help them. And the thing that's really critical here is that I take time with my patients so that I can really get a good understanding of what's going on. And then in working with them, I provide some different types of care that are not what you would consider your traditional chiropractic care. The technique that I've been practicing for many years, and I've been practicing over 30 years, so it's been for pretty much since the start of my practice, is a technique called sacro-occipital technique, which is a balancing technique, and it can be applied in a manner that's very gentle to the body. Okay, so we start by balancing the pelvis and maybe working on the head.
Hmm.
connecting those two, hence sacral being the base of the spine, occipital being the base of the head. So
Hmm.
you have to have movement, reciprocal movement between those two areas, not just movement at the individual segments of the spine.
Mm, right. So you can't isolate parts of your body, right?
Well, you cannot isolate parts of our body, but in chiropractic and in medicine, we've become pieces parts,
Right.
basically.
Hmm.
It's like if you go to the medical doctor and you have a particular condition, they look at where your symptom is. And unfortunately, a lot of times they do that with chiropractic as well. And it could be that you have a neck problem that's being aggravated because you have a low back problem,
Mm,
a knee
yeah.
problem because you have a low back problem, or you have a low back problem because you have a knee problem.
Hmm.
So the thing is so critical to look at the whole body.
Yeah.
Now, just recently in the last 6 months, I've also added a computerized chiropractic adjusting and soft tissue work. Now, that part of the computer doesn't do the work. Okay, let me
Right.
just start with that. The adjusting technique, that aspect of this is called Pro Adjuster 360. Uses a device that measures the tissue resistance and joint dysfunction at each level of the spine. Based upon the readout from that, I select the level that needs to be treated, and then the instrument puts a impulse in at a specific frequency in order to correct the lost joint.
Interesting.
It's,
Very
and,
cool.
um, and then we do a post evaluation, so we make sure that the correction we want to have made has been made. Now, I never thought I would use an instrument. I was very resistant to this, and a friend of mine introduced me to this, and I've seen some phenomenal results, things that I couldn't do by hand,
Sure.
very
Yeah.
necks or backs. In addition to which, it has a whole part of the program for the joints, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hip, knee, and ankle, and enabling me to make joint corrections in those areas that are orders of magnitude greater than anything you can do by hand
Wow.
or with any kind of therapy.
Hmm.
The companion piece to that is called the ProSoft, which is a therapy or treatment that we do that re-educates the muscles via the nerve pathway so that the muscles can now function properly.
Right. So getting to that root cause of whatever is, chronic or, continues to be an issue.
Yeah, getting to the root cause. And the thing is that anyone who has a joint problem, almost every joint problem has a muscular component to it.
Sure.
And you can get massage and you can get stretching, you can do stretching, you can get physical therapy and things like that, which help.
Mhm.
However, once again, because this is impulsing at a specific frequency that's different than the joint frequency, it stimulates receptors in the muscle that then communicate with the nerve. So it's orders of magnitude greater than what you could do by hand.
So it sounds really pinpointed and targeted on specific needs too.
It's very pinpointed and targeted on specific needs. The other thing is that it takes a much shorter amount of time than, for example, physical therapy session.
Sure.
And
Hmm.
there's very little discomfort involved. Anyone who's ever had PT knows, PT can stand for pain and torture.
Interesting.
um, and then it's done with movement. So if a person has a particular movement that is dysfunctional, that is not normal, we work specifically with that movement in order to increase the function. And normally we can see improvement from the very first visit with that treatment.
Excellent. Very, very cool. So actually, if you could just lay out maybe a few examples of clients who come to you and what their issues look like, and how you were able to help them.
Well, a big problem, a concern is people who come in with low back pain,
Sure.
and the reason you'd think everybody would know that chiropractic is great for low back pain, but it's amazing how many people don't know.
Mm.
And so yesterday, for example, I had two people who came in with extreme, severe low back pain,
Hmm.
and either they'd been to their medical doctor and they were told it was a muscle spasm, or they just tried to work on it on their own, which was, in my experience, well before I got into chiropractic care. I had a low back problem and went to the medical doctor. I had no idea that chiropractic could help, and I would have been well a lot faster. So
Mm-hmm.
I evaluate in order to determine where is it coming from? Is it coming from the what's called the sacroiliac joints, which is where the hips hang off the spine, or is
Mm-hmm.
it coming from the low back? And I can detect my training. I was trained long enough ago to know how to evaluate somebody using orthopedic and neurological tests. When I first got into practice, MRI was in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
And if we needed to see if a person had to verify a bulging disc, which I can diagnose or pretty much figure out there's probably a bulging disc through my evaluation procedures.
Interesting. Yeah.
But if we needed to verify it, we had to do something called a myelogram, where they injected dye into the spine. I think they hung the person upside down or something and took an X-ray.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, so the thing is, but the thing, be careful about, we can now see discs on MRI, but that does not necessarily indicate that that's where the person's problem is.
Sure.
Okay. Because an MRI and an X-ray, these things just show us what the degeneration is.
Hmm.
So for example, I had somebody come in, he had back pain. He said it hurts when I bend. The MRI showed a disc problem at a certain level. When he bent, it hurt in a different area that it hurt in his leg, but not in the area that would have been affected by that level.
Interesting.
So I was able to take care of him by gently tractioning the spine so the disc could get back into the space where it belongs,
Right. Right.
along with doing some therapies to help him with the pain. And normally, with that kind of a problem, a person is 75% better within a week or two
Hmm.
and able to live their lives. And these are people who have been living sometimes with pain for months and even years.
Yeah.
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 Now, another problem that might come in is pain down in the arm or into the shoulders.
Hmm.
And I had a patient yesterday came in, she had some low back pain as well as neck and shoulder pain. They say I have a shoulder pain, and the doctor x-rays their shoulder and tells them you have arthritis. Take this drug.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, even if they do have arthritis, the drug doesn't fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Inflammation that creates arthritis, that creates changes, is not the primary cause of the problem. And you can reduce inflammation through medication, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not fixing the way that the joint
Right.
works, which is usually a major contributor to the reason the person has arthritis.
Well, it's one of those classic, your body is hurting to tell you something. We don't want to shut it up. We want to listen, right? So, yeah.
Right. So basically, what I do is I work to get to the root cause of the problem, and then through the therapies, the work that I do, the specific chiropractic care that I do, as well as being able to use this other um, the pro softer,
Mm-hmm.
able to work on the muscles, I'm able to get the people functioning and feeling better much more quickly
Right.
than through other means. So it's really exciting. I get to see people when they're doing better.
Mm-hmm. That is exciting.
That is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. All right. Well, I think I love what you're doing. I love the holistic treatment that you're offering. I actually have a question that's a little outside the box, outside your practice, and that is, what do you do personally to stay your healthiest? That maybe isn't even related to chiropractic.
Well, I walk my talk, because the other thing that I do with people is if they're willing, I help them with their underlying health conditions
Mhm.
through life. I start with lifestyle,
Sure.
diet and
Yeah.
exercise.
Hmm.
Okay. And then sometimes people need nutritional supplementation in order to
Hmm.
help them along, because unfortunately our food just does not have everything we need in
Yeah.
it. But
Agree.
personally, in order to help me with my health, and I'm going to tell a little secret. Women aren't supposed to tell their age, but I turned 65 in April.
Wow.
And I do pretty much everything that I want to do.
Hmm.
And a lot of it has to do with the way that I live my life. I eat in a manner that keeps the natural inflammatory processes at bay. Now, inflammation is a good thing when you have an injury.
Hmm.
You
Right.
need inflammation then, because it goes in and it cleans up the injury.
Hmm.
However, probably 80 to 90% of the people in this country are living with a higher level of inflammation in general, all over their bodies, than what is healthy. And inflammation triggers our chronic disease.
Mm.
It turns on our bad genes, it triggers pain and in the joints and the muscles, it triggers It can even be a trigger for dementia and Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the major drivers of inflammation is carbohydrates. But
Mm.
then people also will have individual foods that are a problem for them. So I avoid the individual foods that are a problem for me, and I keep my carbohydrate intake quite low, except with vegetables and fruit. And I consider it a plant-based diet. Doesn't mean that's all I eat. It
Mm-hmm.
just means the majority of my diet is vegetables and fruit.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
addition to that, I stay active.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a gym rat. I don't care for the gym, but I like to walk and hike
Mm-hmm.
and to do activities and bicycle. So I do activities that um, keep me active in a natural way.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I do specific things to help with strengthening in particular parts of my body. I
Mm-hmm.
also do yoga and meditation because it's really critical to take care of the mind. And in our society, we have so much stress that things
Absolutely.
like it's really important to do yoga and meditation and things that you enjoy that reduces your stress, such as one of the things I really enjoy is playing guitar for fun.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's really, really, I think that helps us see the full spectrum. It's not just go see a chiropractor and you'll be fixed. It's part of this whole wholeness ideal. So yeah, thank you, Sue, so much for joining us. I'm really excited to have you at our expo. Everybody, please join us there. I hope you enjoy this wellness awareness podcast, or I should say interview. We're going to have more of these coming down the pipeline. And Sue, thank you so much again for joining us. And I can't wait to hear more from you.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Lacey. And I'm really looking forward to the expo. I'm so excited to be able to participate in an expo that focuses on natural and functional health. What can we do? Because I really believe that if each individual takes responsibility for their health and does the things that have been shown to really improve our health from the inside out,
Mm-hmm.
we will have a healthier and happier and more productive society.
Absolutely.
It's the only way we're going to resolve the healthcare crisis. And I've been saying that since well before the Affordable Care Act went into effect. So,
Right.
yeah, everybody come visit us at the
Come and
health.
visit. Yes. All right. Great. Thank you, Sue, so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.